So we're on here. How y'all doing today? Wanting to talk about bugging out versus bugging in. There's a lot of comments on it, a lot of opinions on it. I thought, heck, you know what? I'll give my opinion on it too. There's guys out there that will tell you bug out equals death. You got to bug in, and there's guys that are saying bugging in you're going to die because everybody around you is going to get you. And what the correct answer is, according to me, is both. You know, it all depends on you and your area. If you live out in the country and you know what, you got like 3 neighbors in the next mile or something like that, yeah, I don't think you need to bug out anywhere. I think you're already there. Now on the other hand, if you're living in a condo someplace, yeah, you're probably going to want to bug out. I myself am planning on the bug out because the area I live in, population density is just too high. And I don't live in a city or nothing like that, but there are cities around me. So if you are planning for the bug out, first thing you got to do is know where you're going. Okay, I've talked about it before. This heading for the hills, no, that's no bueno. That's not working. Have a place that you are allowed to go. Talk with the owner if you don't own it. Say, hey, if something happens, do you mind if we come here? And make sure it's a firm yes. And make sure that they understand and make sure they're okay with you needing to store some stuff there. Because like we talked about, you're not going to carry 20 number 10 cans of green beans on your back. It ain't happening. Even if you do have an vehicle, you know what I'm saying, a vehicle that works. Once you load up all the other junk, it's going to be tough. Okay. So yeah, have that bug out location and have it ready for you and whoever you're bringing with you. It's going to do no good if you get there and yay, I'm out in the middle of nowhere, nobody can get us now, but you starve to death, or you get some disease because you don't know how to treat the water or purify the water, or you're not familiar with the animals in the area, the wildlife in the area, and you end up getting jacked up that way. Yeah, you bug out to the hills and there's nothing but grizzly bear and wolves. That kind of sucks. But anyway, before you think about the whole bug out, you got to have that location down. And once you have that location down, you got to get that thing stocked. Now, as far as bugging out, are you planning on having a vehicle that works? Are you planning on having to walk? There's a big difference, okay? You've got a newer vehicle. Man, this thing just keeps going down. Y'all don't want to look at anything below here, trust me. Do you have that vehicle that if an EMP is in your plans, is it going to survive an EMP? Okay? EMP, my opinion, and there's many threats out there that, you know, in your coronal mass ejection, you know, those are the ones, that's going to be rough, guys. If it does in fact kill everything electronic. There has been studies done that they tested an EMP on vehicles. The ones that were running, I believe 70% shut down. The other ones kept working fine. But even the ones that shut down, they turned them off, they turned them back on, and they ran. Now, some of the electronics in there did not work. The vehicles that were off and not running didn't seem to be affected by it too much. But this test, this study, if I remember right, was done like back in the 90s, okay? Yeah, cars did have some computers back then, but not like they do now. If there's been a more recent test for EMPs in vehicles, I'm not aware of it. I'm sure somebody's done something, but I'm not aware of it. So anyway, are you going to have a operable vehicle? If your bug out location is 200 miles away and you have to walk there, it's going to take you 3 weeks, okay? And that's 3 weeks of pretty steady moving. Excuse me for the burp. I'm sorry. My wife gets on me all the time. Now, if you factor in that you are taking other people with you, children or perhaps the elderly, somebody have some sort of injury, now how long is that 200 miles on foot going to take? Is it even possible? Young kids, they are not going to be able to average 10 miles a day, okay? Unless you have something to push them in or something to carry them in or something like that. And with your children and elderly, and hey, I'm out of shape too, guys, okay? I'm not saying I'm walking that far in one go. But pretty much you're going to have to think, are we going to have 3 days of 10 miles apiece? And then we're going to lay up for a day, let everybody rest up, and then do another 3 days of 10. How long is it going to take you then? Are you going to do day on, day off? Are you going to try to knock out 2 15s and then, you know, there's going to have to be rest time in there. And that rest time brings up a whole lot of other things that we will go into in other vehicles. You know, you're going to have to eat, you're going to need water, you're going to have to do everything, okay? You're going to have all this stuff for the entire duration of your bug out. This is not a video game where every drawer you open up or box you open up, there's ammo and food in it, okay? Life's not like that. This is not a movie where you're going to find a bomb shelter in somebody's backyard that's fully stocked, okay? Now you might be able to procure things along the way, okay? But you can't plan on that, okay? You plan for the worst, hope for the best. So what your plans need to be is you are planning on what you have on your back is what you're going to have for the entire duration of the trip. So yeah, can you carry enough food and supplies on your back to last 3 weeks? That's going to be tough, man. That's going to be super tough. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, okay? But you got to think things out. You got to have a plan. So if you are planning on the bug out, where is your location? Let's say you've identified a location. How are you going to get to that location now? You can see, there we go. How are you going to get there? Okay. So you've worked that out. Okay, I think we know how we're going to get there and all that other stuff. Then it comes down to like what you're going to bring. Okay, you got to have those things in your pack, or if you're pulling some sort of cart or pushing a baby stroller, if you got youngins, you know, a lot of times and then even at that, you're not going to be doing cross country in a baby stroller. Trust me, I've tried. I took one of my children when they were infants. It was springtime and we had all been held up in the house forever, and it was a nice day, and I'm like, screw it, we're gonna go for a hike. And it was a walking trail, you know, we weren't hiking miles, it's just a little mile loop or something. but wanted to get the kids out. I wanted to get out, and yeah, even along a this walking trail, pushing this stroller. Oh, dude, you don't even know. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Now along the road, yeah, worked pretty good. But if something were to happen to where you do have to cross country, that stroller, don't know if that's going to work for you anymore. So as far as bugging out, there are a lot of things to consider, you know. You're going to have medication that people are going to have to take. Do you have a old football injury that flares up every now and then, and what are you going to do when that happens? And a lot of things. What you need to do is literally just sit down and in your head imagine the trip. How far can you get in a day? When you do stop, what are you going to need? And it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be overwhelming, because if you are watching this and you are into preparedness, you're gonna do what you got to do. It's going to suck. You're going to suck it up and you're going to do it, okay? But your 6-year-old kid, he's not going to understand that this is what we got to do. He's going to, you know, I want to go sleep in my bed. I don't want to be sleeping out in the woods or in some gas station or whatever. They're going to want to know, you know, they want spaghetti. Why can't they have spaghetti? I'm tired of eating rice and or whatever you got. And, you know, I just want some pizza. Can't we have pizza? They're not going to understand that stuff, guys. And things like that, you need to kind of to plan for, and how are you going to react when those things happen? Not necessarily, yeah, the raiders are coming and they're going to attack. Those are the big things. Yeah, you got to plan for that too, but you got to plan for the little things. And as far as bugging in, okay, so we'll try to get off the bugging out real quick. The bugging in. Unless you're already out in the country, man, it's going to be tough. Okay, it's going to be tough. If you're living in suburbia and you've got a great group of neighbors around and stuff like that, and we're all going to come together, and you know, I understand that you need community. We talked about the lone wolf versus the group. Okay, you need the group. Okay, it has to happen. But at the same time, even if you got 10 houses on your street and you guys all feel the same way, what at most you're going to have, if they're all families, you're going to have 10 men, 10 women, and you might have a few high school age, college age kids that are, you know, they're able to do certain things, and then you're going to have a buttload of little kids or something, or, you know, the older folks, you know, the elderly are there. So let's say that you've got 10 men, 10 women, and let's say the middle school aged girls up to high school aged girls are in charge of the younger kids, so that you can pull guard duty or blah blah blah. And you've got, let's say you got another 10 college age, high school age guys to help with security. So let's say you got 30 people that can do security. Well, that also means you have 30 people to do all the other things too, okay? But let's just say you do. And you live on a dead-end street. It deads into a cul-de-sac. And you've got the entrance to the street barricaded off with vehicles. They can't get in. And you've got a observation post up there to keep an eye out. That is going to attract attention. Now, it is going to tell some people, these people are for real, we don't want to mess with them. It is going to tell some people that. But your larger groups, if you're believing that all the gangs are going to join up into one big, okay, If you got a big group of bad guys, they are going to look at that and say, those people are defending that area pretty hard. They must have some good crap. Okay? So that's where, like, are you going to go gray or are you going to go tactical comes in. And I'm sorry, even with 30 people, a large group, it's going to be tough, guys. I'm not going to say it's not possible, okay? But if you got 30 people and they're a bunch of accountants and school teachers, and you know, if they're anything less than your military special forces, it's going to be tough against a large group. And it's not going to be just one attacking over, man. You know, it's like you're going to be taking on group after group. So that's where it's like I'm not a big fan of the bug in. It's going to be possible, but it's going to be a constant. You're going to be constantly just freaking out all the time. You're going to have people on guard all the time, which you're going to need people on guard all the time if you're out in the sticks too. But maybe you don't have to have the type of security presence that you're going to have in a little suburban town or something like that. And if you just think about the sheer number, even if it's not quote unquote bad guys that are coming, you know, I've talked before about the guy down the street whose kids are starving. He's going to do what he's got to do. Well, now multiply that times 3 million, because the people in the city know that they have to get to the country, because that's where in the country's where all the food is. But to get to the country, where do they got to go? Yeah, they got to go through suburbia, okay? So that it's going to be a swarm of locusts coming through your area. How many people are you willing to shoot? I mean, serious. I mean, we're not talking video game movies here, guys. You have to deal with that. That's a decision you have to make. You're going to take a life, okay? And most people will, oh yeah, I got no problem, I'll pop them. Yeah, when push comes to shove, you're going to have that moment, you know what I mean? And what's that going to do to your group when you have group after group of refugees coming through your area on a daily basis, begging for food, showing you the kids that are starving, showing you the people that are hurt that need medical attention, and you've stockpiled all that because you're with it. You're into preparedness. You're going to turn all those people away. You're going to turn away all those people. So that's kind of my 2 cents. It's something to think about. I'm not saying bugging in is the wrong choice. It all depends on your area, the community that you have around you. The lines of travel outside of cities, you know, your suburban home area, allotment, community, is it close to the interstate? You know, it probably is, because you wanted to be able to jump on the interstate real quick to get to work or get to Walmart or Target or wherever you're going. So it's probably going to be major routes near you because that's convenient, and that's why people move to the suburbs, because it's convenient. But that's something to think about, guys. If you're going to bug in, there's going to be a lot to it. Something to consider. I guarantee I will be touching on this again at a later time, but for right now, bugging out versus bugging in, think about it. Try to get squared away with that. Try to think about all the little contingencies. You know, how are your kids going to feel living with gunshots daily, or another guy's kicking in the door that mommy had to take care of? You know, I mean, that's something to think about. Not that you're totally safe out in the sticks no, dude, I'm a hillbilly, so I'm allowed to say this. If you're not a hillbilly, you're not allowed to say this. But there's going to be a lot of good old boys rolling around in their trucks, looking to take advantage of the situation, just like there's going to be your gangs or whatever you want to call them, in town. So it's not just, oh, everybody in the country's nice. No, dude, there's freaking white trash hillbillies rolling around out in the country too. And like I said, I can say that because I'm a hillbilly, okay? Heck, I got them in my family, man. I ain't saying nothing about that, but yeah, so there's no area that's going to be perfect. Biggest thing is your population density. So I will leave it at that, and please comment below. Let me know what you're thinking. And if you could, you know, that whole like, share, and subscribe thing, if you got people, your friends, your family, you're like, hey, listen to this guy, tell me what you think about him. But yeah, do the like, share, subscribe thing, and next time we'll talk about, I don't know, we'll figure it out. All right, talk to you after a while.